Media and journalism right here in Zimbabwe. My name is Wadzanai Sansole. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, today on the program, we are focusing on mental health awareness, an act of learning and spreading accurate information with the goal of reducing stigma. Now, the media, as the fourth estate, plays a role in mental health, and it can either perpetuate harmful stereotypes, it can either actually give accurate reports, it can create stigma or spread misinformation, or become a powerful ally in promoting public understanding and reducing stigma. Now, to encourage getting help in this digital age, social media presents its own unique challenges, from the pressure of comparison to the spread of misinformation and cyberbullying. Yet it also offers platforms for support and meaningful discussion. So to encourage getting help, in today's episode, we're looking into the media's role to educate and inform its audiences when it comes to issues of mental health and suicide prevention. So I am joined in the studio today to have this conversation by Kudakwashe Mtua, the training officer from Friendship Bench. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And Leroy Shoniwa, the clinical coordinator from Friendship Bench. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Great. So we are looking at mental health awareness and asking, are we doing enough to end the stigma? So as we get straight into this and look at issues to do with all year-round coverage, one could argue that people only want to talk about mental health during a specific month, or when something drastic has happened, someone's taken their life, or when one celebrity posts something and it looks like, okay, this is something that needs to be talked about. What's your response to that?
I feel like, that's a good question, actually. I feel like everything is seasonal in terms of what we put in front, in terms of campaigns that we're doing. However, I don't think I agree per se with the idea that people don't talk about it throughout the year. In the last few years, there's been a rise in uptake in terms of mental health and its importance, especially in the social media era, where people are open and free enough to talk about mental health, especially post-COVID. I think numbers will tell you that people are much more comfortable now talking about their mental health status and how they're feeling. Maybe not as much as educated, but they do talk about how they're feeling a lot more. People now talk about it more in open spaces, and they're much more comfortable having that conversation with their friends, with their family and their loved ones. Something that culturally and before, people would never actually bring up the idea of mental health. Everyone thinks about physical health. So I would say, yeah, maybe campaigns are seasonal, like, oh, Men's Mental Health Month is in November, World Mental Health Day is in this month. However, people do talk about it constantly on social media and, in everyday life.
Mm-hmm. Leroy, would you say enough is being done to create awareness around this topic?
Not quite. However, like he said, now people are talking about mental health, which is a good thing, but we haven't done enough yet. There's still more to be done in terms of creating mental health awareness and doing away with various myths and misconceptions about this topic. So there's definitely more to be done. Yeah.
Now, one could also say that the media also contributes negatively when it comes to spreading misinformation and misconceptions when it comes to the topic of mental health. But sometimes you get a reporter who's actually interested in covering mental health issues and probably doesn't even know the correct terms to use and things like that. Would you say workshops actually help, to build up more, confidence in the topic and create a platform where someone can have more information to better their reporting?
I like the fact that you brought up the idea of workshops, because I feel like this year alone, as Friendship Bench, I'll speak for us, we've had a lot of workshops with a lot of organizations that are now coming out and saying we would like to be sensitized more on mental health. HR departments are now much more interested in it. And one of the beauties about Friendship Bench is we offer a package called the Friendship Bench in a Box, which is teaching people from all lines of work. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor, combi driver, a reporter, a journalist. We do teach you 3 levels of, PST, which is problem solving therapy, but also the Friendship Bench in a Box model, where we talk about things such as empathy and knowing the right words that you can say to somebody that change how they feel, because it's the little things that do change. Like what you're saying, journalists come out, they're behind the screen, everybody's listening to them, and the words they use have an impact. So things like workshops will make a big difference, because if you come get help from us, for example, with this Friendship Bench in a Box, we will talk about what are the right words to say to somebody that change the narrative. Because there's so many things. You spoke about misconceptions. There's so many things that in our society we're used to saying to each other. You know, maybe someone's going through something and you say, oh, shame, you know, and then you just stop there. You know, you think you're helping, but maybe you're making someone feel smaller, because it's more of sympathy than empathy. But sometimes there are words that you can use, which is, you know, uplifting somebody and strengthening them to make them feel better. And part of what we offer is a level 1 training that opens the mind to someone to understand the difference in the right words that you can use as well.
I see. So Kuda, while we're still on this issue, let's have a little mini workshop here. Just give me a couple of other phrases that are usually used in society that people are not even aware of. Because if you saying shame is actually belittling someone and making them feel smaller, the natural mind would just think, oh, you're actually, oh, shame, because maybe lack of words and stuff like that. Give us the language that actually could be used.
All right. One that usually sticks out to me is someone who says something like chinyara. All right. I know it's shocking that I would put it as an example, but chinyara might just be not giving someone room to cry. I'm sure a lot of people would testify that sometimes you just need to go into a room and cry.
And let it out.
Let it out, and you feel better. So if you're telling someone chinyara, then you're sort of silencing them, not giving them a chance to really express how they're feeling. You can say things like, do you know what I mean? And a statement like that can make me feel like you don't care about my feelings. All right. So there are better words that you can use when someone is going through something, like, oh, thank you for telling me your story, or go now and do that, and you know, now we can talk about it. That's the first step to healing. Or simply someone, you strengthen someone, and that's the whole point. So it's the little words, the little nuances that change things. Saying something like problem yako, right? Or problem yako. It's like you're putting a problem on their forehead and saying that's theirs, right? You said your name is Wadza, I said my name is Kuda. That's who I am. But if I say problem yako, no one has a problem, no one owns a problem, right? But we can say problem E, because because everyone has problems, but
and it shouldn't define you.
Exactly.
This is something you're going through.
Who you are. Exactly. That's what put actually.
Okay. And then beyond saying sorry to someone, what else could you say?
Empathy, empathetic statements, right? Like, thank you for sharing your story. That was a very important step for you to take to share that story. You know, that strengthens someone. It took a lot of courage for you to say what you told me, or, oh, that must have been a difficult experience, right? Because maybe I might not fully understand what you're going through, but I can at least show that I am willing to listen and understand where you are coming from as well.
I see. Now, Leroy, let's talk about social media and how it's obviously playing an important role in people's lives, a huge role right now. And when we look at how it focuses mainly on issues to do with physical appearance, coming with the whole filter issues, you know, Instagram has its own things, and then Snapchat, and then you create a filter before posting something just to create this illusion of perfection. And long back magazines would like post like images of this perfect model, and that became like the standard of beauty, which then would determine how people feel like they need to present themselves. So you then find like today Wadza now deciding, okay, I don't have makeup today, now I need to find a filter and then post this just for it to be approved. The older you get, sometimes people then accept their flaws and things like that. But let's talk about the youth and how something like this could affect their mental health.
Yeah, definitely. There is something called body dysmorphia. So I think it has to do with body dissatisfaction. You could be anxious, you could be depressed, because there are certain standards that has been set about what beauty looks like. So that is quite an issue which affects a number of young people. And what we are saying is there's really need for us to provide or to spread awareness in terms of dealing with such issues. Definitely, they may not be able to avoid having those thoughts because of these standards and because of these standards that are put up by media or by media institutions. And what we are saying is maybe the media institutions should at least try to report in a manner which does not cause problems, and also mental health organizations such as Friendship Bench and other professionals can also come in to address such issues, especially maybe in schools or in other institutions.
Okay, so I like that you raised that whole thing of so much awareness that needs to be, created around this, especially in schools and things like that. So, Koda, if we look at some of the solutions that could help, because the young people are on social media and they are actually going through this, and they see something which is termed the highlight reel, because you see my moment of perfection on social media, not the other stuff that I go through. And then you think, okay, you see life through those lens, and you think, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. That could create anxiety in other people, and that pressure. So what are some of the solutions?
I think conversations like today, for example, are the first step to creating a narrative that's important. I think as the media, we have the power to create an agenda for the people to follow, right? So if you are having more shows where people are talking and having conversations about these things, people are much more comfortable to come out and express how they feel about certain things that have been put out on social media, which is raising an awareness to the community. As Friendship Bench, we've embarked on a few radio interviews over the years where we come out, a 30-minute segment on radio, right, where we are talking about mental health issues, whether it's body shaming, depression, all these things. 30 minutes on the radio maybe reaches out to 2 million people. Maybe today's 30 minutes reaches out to 10 million people. You're spreading the word out there, you're raising the awareness within the people, and that's the first step, right? The thing about social media is it's a platform where everybody has freedom of expression. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But when you have the media involved, you can put the narrative out there of putting out the right images for people to understand that, you don't have to be perfect for you to be happy. Do you know what I mean? There's beauty in imperfection. But that only takes you being surrounded in an environment that is willing to accommodate you and create safe spaces, which is something I think we've been doing a lot of work towards. I look at the climate before COVID and after COVID. A lot of people started to understand the importance of mental health, especially on social media, because we spent COVID confined to our rooms and on our phones. And right now as Friendship Bench, I think we are close to reaching our 1 millionth client. It just goes to show that over the years, the uptake in spreading awareness has been having an effect. The fact that people have been coming to get more and more counseling sessions has been helpful. The other thing about having media involved in these things is Zimbabwe, for example, we have, is it not 18 or 19 psychiatrists in a population of 17 million. So it shows you that there's a gap in between where you need more people who understand the importance of mental health in this country. And that's where Friendship Bench has done a great job. I'm sure you understand about our initiative to use our grandmothers to reach out to people. Right now, in the last 2 decades, we've trained over 2,000 grandmothers that have been reaching out people, which is going hand in hand with our vision of bringing a Friendship Bench closer to everybody. And it's not just the grandmothers. You spoke about the young people. We have buddies. So we call our interns buddies. These are youths that are in university. They come and administer PST, which is problem-solving therapy, to the people, raise awareness, do mobilizations, going out into communities and getting people and talking to people. So if the media is able to be involved into some of these things, it spreads awareness and an understanding of its importance, because I feel like we live in an age where everybody has a phone. So everybody is technically a reporter, right? So you go on your Twitter and you see, oh, this thing happened over there, this thing happened over there. But if we raise more awareness on the importance of how we coverage this information, how we put this information out there, sensitive information, we can avoid putting people into a position where they could be at risk of suffering from depression. And that's some of the words or the lessons that we're trying to educate people on in our societies.
I see. So Leroy, just to add on to what he was saying about how anybody with a phone can basically just take footage and then report on that and spread something. And this has obviously just shown that social media can now just be a hotspot for like cyberbullying and for just putting someone else's private moment on blast. So what are some of the things Friendship Bench could do, or what are some of the things people should know that could actually help them to realize that when they do stuff like that, it can negatively impact someone's mental health?
I think people should know about mental health issues in general, how certain actions can cause certain emotions in individuals, because most of the time we just go about doing our activities and not thinking about the reaction that one may have to that. So there's definitely need for us to know about emotions, thoughts, and even certain behaviors that may be harmful to another person. So as Friendship Bench, we, like Kuda said, we actually do a lot of radio shows, educating individuals or the public about mental health issues such as empathy, how to have empathy, how to actively listen to someone, And I'm just happy that we are here and we are talking about mental health issues and the role of the media in making sure that we do not cause these harmful experiences in individuals. Yeah.
While you're still on that, there's also the issue of men's mental health and also what they go through, like even on social media. Can you just speak quickly about that and how they can, I don't know, how they can deal with some of the pressures that come with the image that they're supposed to live up to?
Yeah.
Especially knowing that Zim is a patriarchal society as well.
Definitely. The topic of men's mental health is, I think there's a lot of issues to do with men's mental health, and it's a good thing that we're in November, which is Men's Mental Health Month. So there are quite a number of issues. For example, men have got poor help-seeking behavior, and this is because of the traditional masculine norms that men should not cry, men should not be weak, and seeking help is regarded as lazy or being weak. So definitely also issues to do with the image that a man should have. Men should not seek help, men should be masculine. All those things, they cause problems. Either they can cause someone to not seek help or to just have mental health issues themselves. They may have anxiety or they may be depressed because of those images and standards that have been set by the society or by the media. Yeah.
Could you also just share some of the other efforts that the Friendship Bench has to advocate for men's mental health?
All right. Well, over the years, we've always made it a priority that every November we put out a lot of information to try and get men to take up our mental health spaces a lot more. We find that a lot of men, like what he's saying, are hesitant to come out. But if you go on our social media pages, for example, you'd find we make an active effort to put men in front. So that people can understand that men are also involved in the spaces as well. It's not just about, women coming out and talking about their feelings. Usually when we have a new group of counselors that we're training or people that we're training to understand more about mental health, we do a very small exercise, which is just to ask men to stand up and we clap for them. Because you'd find usually when you're in those rooms, you have 80% of the room being women and only 20% being men. It just shows you how many women think more about their mental health or how many men actually are interested in it. But it's the small little actions where you highlight the fact that there are less men in this industry, there are less men who are coming out and getting help and seeking help, highlighting it brings it out into the open and creates a platform for them to be able to come out and feel comfortable as well, sharing their feelings. I think that's a very important thing as well. But I also think, considering the year we are in, 2025, and the new generation that's coming out, the mere fact that we talk about our mental health more openly is leading to a generation of men who are much more open to the idea of talking about mental health and how they're feeling, which is a very positive thing. It's just up to us as the society, everybody in the society, doesn't matter whether you're an expert or not, just to give people that safe space for them to be able to open up and share how they're feeling and what they're going through. I think that makes a big difference in society. Yeah.
You talked about women usually being the ones that attend a lot of the programs that are set. Talk to me about the role that community groups play, like for women, when it comes to breaking the silence around women's mental health issues as well.
All right. Well, I think right now, I was following social media. Right now in South Africa, there's a purple movement. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Gender-based violence is where they are coming out and talking more about what they've experienced and what they're going through. It's these things that affect people's mental health, right? So people are creating more and more space and platforms on social media and in the society for them to have women come out and talk about their experiences, because we do, like what you said earlier, patriarchal society, but now we are moving away from that. We're moving towards a society that is understanding and inclusive to everybody. As Friendship Bench, we offer what we call CKT groups, right? So CKT groups are groups of people who have come through the Friendship Bench, received help, and maybe we give them a platform to create a club of their own where they can go and maybe meet or knit stuff or bake cakes, all these things where people with similar experiences create a community where they're together and supporting each other. One of our values is connectedness, and the idea of having a connected community creates a platform where people are much more open. So I think women have taken more interest in these things because they have found a home in a community that is connected and a community that's giving them space to express themselves. But I feel we'll be doing an injustice to men if we say, oh, it's all women, right? There's just an example of a small space. Men are definitely involved in the spaces as well, but to a lesser extent, right? I think that's something that I can say, and we would encourage more men to come out and to try and receive help and talk about their feelings. Because if you look at statistics right now when it comes to suicide rates, you'd find there are more men there and less women, which is very concerning because we have less men in the population. So it brings out a bad side to the idea of how are people taking up mental health issues as well.
Now, Leroy, we cannot talk about mental health and not look at workplace stress, considering that's where most people spend majority of their time. Do you think it's possible to have a balance between productivity demands and employees' needs, especially regarding mental health care?
Definitely. We can definitely achieve balance between the demands as well as issues to do with people's mental health. I think what's just needed is to work with workplaces, especially the authorities, the managers, and capacitate them and also just educate them about mental health issues. At Friendship Bench, we have got a program which we call Mental Health in the Workplace, whereby we visit different workplaces, or sometimes they reach out to us, and then we train them to consider mental health issues in their day-to-day running. So definitely that can be achieved. Yeah.
Leroy, sometimes when you're doing a story and you're trying to report on mental health, it can be difficult to get a counselor or a mental health advocate or even like a psychologist who's willing to participate and avail themselves to be part of the conversation and to contribute to the story. What do you think should be done to forge a good working partnership between mental health professionals and the media?
Definitely a lot should be done. I think I will start with mental health professionals. I think we really need to be receptive or actually approach media companies so that we can do a lot more work in terms of mental health awareness. And I think for the media companies also, I think most of the time what happens is there's been a lot of maybe negative issues to do with media, some form of stigma. So definitely there's need for more collaboration between media institutions and mental health professionals, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of mental health, in terms of awareness, in terms of encouraging people to seek help, in terms of dealing away with the stigma and the misconceptions associated with this subject. Yeah.
I see. Thank you very much. And I suppose you also coming to have this conversation is a first step. It actually helps us to step in the right direction, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we've come to the end of our program. Thank you very much for sharing all your insight. Very informative and very helpful.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much for tuning into Fourth Estate. And we were looking at if there's enough coverage when it comes to mental health, and if it's an all year round thing that could actually be done if it's possible. And I was having this conversation with Kurakwashe Mtua and Leroy Shoniwa from Friendship Bench. I'm your host, Wadzanai Sansole. Pleasant viewing.